Hey, and welcome to another episode of Life Clash. I am your host, the fabulous Dr. J. If I can get this lighting work to work so I can bring my fabulous guest on, I am so excited about this conversation tonight with the Tameka Garrett, founder of Stilettos on the Pavement. She is an advocate for mental health and wellness. And so you guys help me welcome to the stage, Miss Tameka Garrett.
Woohoo! Hello there, Dr. J.
Hey. I'm trying to get this lighting. I don't know what's going on in my life. How you doing today?
I am good today. I'm very excited about being on your show. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm nervous too, but it comes with the territory.
Listen, no need to be nervous. You know, all we're doing is just having a conversation like we do all the time. Right. And so just to help break those nerves up, start off by telling our audience a little bit about who is Tameka Garrett.
Okay, great. So my name is Tameka Garrett in real life. Blessings on another one of my pages. And I would like to start by saying I am a believer. Like I believe in Jehovah God. I believe that everything I have and can accomplish comes because of him and through him first. I'm a mother and a grandmother, an entrepreneur and an advocate for health and wellness among professional business women, and the founder of Stilettos on the Pavement. That's me, a little bit about me anyway.
Stilettos on the Pavement.
Yes.
I am glad you mentioned Stilettos on the Pavement. You know, I saw you actually create Stilettos on the Pavement and grow it. Tell us, you know, how did you get this idea and, you know, exactly what was your goal in creating Stilettos on the Pavement?
Okay, so that is a great question. So it's so funny. Like I was in Jackson, Mississippi. Shout out to the capital, right? So I was working at our construction and program management company, and all I heard every single day was boots on the ground. And I'm like, okay, these guys are doing good things or whatever. But I knew we had one truck driver, we had someone over accounting who was a female, our project manager was a female, and I was meeting these incredible women in Jackson that were powerhouses, that were decision makers in all different industries. So I asked God, you know, how can I bring these women together to build and maintain professional relationships? And over a period of time, he kept giving me answers, but I kept being disobedient and saying, no, I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not sure if I want to get involved. But he told me so many times that it became something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to see, you know, what I was capable of, and I wanted to be obedient. So I thought about it. I said, you know, these women might know each other because I had just moved back to Jackson in 2013, but I want to put them in the same space and change the status quo of women not being able to work well together, because I felt that that was completely false. And one night I just thought about shoes because I love shoes so much, and it just came to me, Stilettos on the Pavement. And so I had my first event and there were 17 women there, and you would have thought I hit the jackpot because I was so excited, Dr. J, because it wasn't about the amount of people. It was about how they, much like church, how you feel when you're in that space, and do you feel different walking out? And that's how it started.
Wow, wow, wow. Yes, indeed. I mean, it was just a sight to see all the women. Like, did you see these pictures, honey? To just see a room full of Black women, honey, doing their thing, baby.
Yeah,
That's
and you were
powerful.
there from day one. Like when I first started, you were like, you could do this, even when I had questions about, myself being wanting to be the front, because I wanted to be behind the scenes. I'm a certified event planner. I do very well behind the scenes, but I just knew that this was something that I had to come out in front and say, hey, it's me. Because some people were like, well, we would have supported it had we known it was you, or who's behind this. Because you know how Mississippi is. They want to know, who are your people and where are you from? And so I had to, be a little bit braver and say, hey, you guys, it is me. And I want you guys to come out and support. And when I tell you, I learned the power of, through El Cherie Dean, I learned the power of social media. The first one, we had 17 women there. We had such a wonderful time. And after that, it just grew and it grew. The number was no more than 50. So I always wanted to be a small amount on purpose, but it grew from everybody telling other people about it. So I can't thank the women in Jackson, Mississippi enough for supporting me and showing up in Groves. I really appreciate them for that, including you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. We just thank you for, just coming back home and giving, pouring into the city. That's what we need. We need events here in the city that people want to come out to. And that's definitely an event that, especially young girls, who want to start their business, they want to be surrounded by business women. So for young women who want to build a network of business women, what advice would you give them?
That's a good question. Okay, so for young women, are you talking about in high school and college? What's young?
It doesn't matter because they can be in high school and want to start a business. They can be in college and want to start a business. And I think the younger you are, the better you are because you learn to make those mistakes early and you
You're
learn from
right.
them.
You're absolutely right. And the reason why I asked that is because my answer would be different depending on the age group. So this is what I'll go with. I
Okay.
would tell young adults to don't look at social media. Don't pay attention to social media as to what an entrepreneur looks like, because it'll give you a false perception. So it'll give you all the glory without the processes and the pains and the crying nights. But I also will tell you to believe in yourself, to pray about all things, and to get you a mentor. If there's something that you want to do in a particular field, find you a mentor that's doing that exceptionally well, and ask them to mentor you, because mentorship does make a world of difference. When I wanted to be an event planner, I asked a couple of people before I moved back to Jackson who were the best, and they gave me two names. I went and spoke to both of them, asked one of them about helping me. Thomas Roots is his name. And so I would tell the young ladies to find you a mentor in whatever industry it is that you're trying to pursue or business that you want to open, and just study as much as you possibly can. And don't be afraid to put foot to the ground, like Stilettos on the Pavement. Don't be afraid to go and take action and move forward. And you're going to make mistakes, but it's okay. The only way you won't make mistakes is if you do nothing at all. That would
Amen.
be my
Amen.
advice.
And you are in the process of planning another Stilettos on the Pavement. Is that correct? Or am I speaking too fast?
No,
Too
come
soon?
on with it. Come on. So yeah, this will be my first time having a 2-day event. One is very much like what people are used to. It's the networking, it's the speakers. It's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be in March. It's going to be in Georgia. And then Sunday is going to be a little bit more laid back where we're pouring into our own cups. Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, we do not take enough time for self-care. We do not take enough time to stop and applaud ourselves right before we're moving on to the next vision or the next goal. And so we want to it's in the month of Women's History Month, right, being March, but I wanted to do it at the end of the month so that we could celebrate ourselves and talk about not just the women who came before us. I think that's wonderful. And of course, we need to give shout out to them, but also what are we doing today to leave a legacy for those to come behind us so that our name is mentioned in books and records and so forth.
So give us those dates again so they can mark them on their calendars.
Mark them on your calendar. It is Saturday, March the 29th and Sunday the 30th in the state of Georgia. It will not be in Atlanta because people gonna be like, oh, it's in Atlanta. No, it's not in Atlanta, but we're dropping all the information on the 29th of this month. So we'll have our official flyer. We'll start talking about the speakers and how you can become a part of it if you want to be a vendor or be a supporter and sponsor, as well as purchase your ticket. So again, it's Saturday, March the 29th and Sunday, March the 30th in Georgia. And we are super excited about this.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So before we get to the mental health, discussion, because I think that is so important. I just have a few more questions about business because like you said, as entrepreneurs, we make a lot of mistakes. We don't focus on our own cup. Can you kind of talk about some of those mistakes that you've made and you have to overcome the lessons you've learned?
Now we're getting into the good stuff, right? All right. So one thing I messed up, well, I didn't know, right? So when I first started, when my sister and I worked together, we had this this company, it's construction and program management. I assume that when you go to work and you work with your family, that they will tell you things during the day, and then at night over dinner, you talk about business and you talk about where we're trying to go, how you get there. And me not being in the construction or program management industry, I thought they would kind of hold my hand a little bit, and I was wrong. When we got off work, my sister didn't want to talk about business anymore because we had talked about business all day. But I was so excited and I wanted to learn. And I was like, hey, Talicia, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, Tameka, if you're going to go to dinner with me and you're going to talk about business, I'm not going to dinner with you. And so my little feelings was hurt. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to learn if nobody's telling me what to do? If no one's showing me the ropes. And so that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made, making an assumption. You can't make an assumption without having a conversation. And that's one of the things I did. I held my sister responsible for something that she never said she was going to give me and that I expected and we never talked about. So I think communication is so important. So not only communicating, but being grown enough, right, to learn how to listen effectively, to respond without emotions, and to be honest about how you're feeling and in the moment, not 4 or 5 months later. That's something that I learned.
Great. And now that you mentioned that, how do you balance family, business, and mental health? That's a lot.
Shit. Yeah, it is. So first I had to acknowledge that there was a problem, that there was something going on with me that I just could not ignore any longer. So I want to be clear about this, right? So I'm going to read this, and it's from Google. It's on my other screen. And I want you guys to know that it defines mental health illness is referred to as a medical condition that significantly impacts a person's thinking, mood, or behavior, often causing distress and impairing their ability to function in daily life, work, or relations. Some examples include depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and eating disorders. And so I want you guys to go back and listen to the definition of that. And I say that because so many people there's so many stigmatism that goes on when people mention mental health illness. There's so many things that people don't understand. They like to use terms that are insensitive. And so that's where I want to start. I had to learn that there was something going on with me and that I needed to face it head on and then be honest about what was going on with my family. And so once I was able to do that and take off all the mask and all the uncertainties and to be honest about it, my life was so much easier. It was so much easier. And then my family began to understand when I said, hey, I can't come in today. And they didn't want me there. Once they knew what was going on, they were like, no, you take the day off. So, and balancing that was really just being vocal about it and knowing where my limitations were.
You know, I really want to have this conversation because in the Black community, you know, instead of us just having the wherewithal to understand mental health, you know, we would say a person is crazy or they go to the mental hospital or just all these different labels. And, you know, as we grew older and have more life experiences, we understand mental health all too well. Like, man, anything really can trigger you. And that's why you really have to have practices and you have to have boundaries. You have to have things that you do so that you can keep your cup full and running over at all times. Because baby, people will run over your cup. They will sip everything out of your cup if you let them. So how do you manage just setting boundaries and making sure that your cup is full?
I'm still working on that. So that is something that I continue to work on because I am a giver. I like to give and give and give, but I learned that there are takers and they take when you don't have nothing else to give. And they don't respect.
And then we be mad. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody asks us to give. And we want people we expect people to respond the way we respond to people and people not us. You know, different people have different things that they need. And so once we realize that, you know, I need this and you need that, you know, life becomes easier when you are able to just tell people, hey, that don't work for me. You know, actually it makes me more anxious. You know, can you do this and this? That will help me better. So just, you know, me working with a life coach helped me to set boundaries. I had to learn to set boundaries with my family. I had to learn to set boundaries with my friend, you know, and that's what we have to do in order for our cups to stay full.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I agree with you. I think a lot of times, like you say, we expect people to be like us, or I expect people to do what I do, and they're not me, you know. And then I'm still working on not feeling certain ways when my family doesn't show up for me because I show up for them because they've got things going on. I don't know what they've got going on during their day. You know what I mean? But what I will say is that I still working on my boundaries because they change. What I need changes, you know, and it's so exciting to when you begin to protect your own peace. Ooh, it's so exciting when you begin to put yourself, when you pencil, like, okay, here's my calendar, right? And here's my pencil. When I pencil myself in, like I make a doctor's appointment, I might have lunch with the team on this day. When I say, hey, this day right here is Tameka Day. So whether I am skipping down the street watching Lifetime movies or sitting in Barnes and Noble. It's my day. And I learned to cut that freaking phone off. My mom said one day, like a year ago, she said, well, Mika, one of the reasons why you can't get any sleep is because your phone rings, bings, and dings. And I was like, what? She said, listen, you get notifications for all of these things. And so your mind can't rest. And so I think one of the things is, as far as a boundary, which I did it, I don't have Facebook on my phone. Like, I have 2 Facebook pages, but one of them I don't have on my phone so that I won't get distracted, because you go on Facebook, Dr. J, to look at one thing. The next thing you know, it's 30, 40 minutes later. Like, that is not productive. And most of that stuff that you see on there is so negative. And that energy is inside of you before you know it. So boundaries, we can't talk enough about them, and setting them in stone, and then saying no. Like, I'm okay with saying, when they ask me, you coming to so-and-so's party? I used to be, oh yeah, I want to go here, because I like people. I really do. But now it's like, I still like people, but I don't get what I used to get from it. So no, I'm not going. And I don't feel no kind of way about it, because I learned that half the people that I was hanging with weren't there for me when I really needed them to be there. And I'm not mad about it. It is what it
We
is.
learn from it.
Yeah, we do. I learned some valuable lessons from Jackson, Mississippi, and I thank everybody for them. When you live on the West Coast, shout out to California, and my prayers are with that entire
Amen.
state. They had some more fires today in San Bernardino and Rialto. That's where I went to school, in
Wow.
Bloomington. So when you grow up on the West Coast, it's a whole different thing. It's a mechanism that you have of protection for yourself. Then you come to the South, and Jackson is home for me. I mean, that's where my dad's from Mississippi. But they have this thing, that they have this Southern hospitality like no other. But it's not real to me. Like, in California, if they don't mess with you, they don't mess with you, and you know it. In the South, you don't really know who mess with you and who don't. So it can be a real tricky thing. And so I learned that valuable lesson. But what I will tell women is, everybody is not the same. So because this group of people weren't good to you, please don't stop having relationship with other professional business women, because everybody's not the same. Use your discernment and stop using the words friend so freely. But there are some great people in this world, and please do not let the few negative Nancys destroy that for you. I won't. I
You
won't
know,
do that.
I think Kanye West said it best. The people highest up has the lowest self-esteem.
Oh,
I
wow.
think people work so hard at their careers that they don't work on themselves. The average American have so much unresolved childhood issues, but people don't want to deal with it. It seems like they just put it off, and they wonder why all these things come up in them. And it's because of the unresolved childhood things. Almost everything in our lives that's a trigger for us, we can trace it back to childhood, some event that happened in our childhood. And so just connecting that with our mental health, what are some tips? I think we have a graphic here with you giving tips on people improving their mental health. What are some things people can do to improve their mental health?
So one, I think, be honest about how you're feeling and what you're going through. Um, for me, and it's all those things on there. I love how you pop that up. Okay, Dr. J. I do have to change my eating habits, because I eat a lot of junk. Right. But when I eat fruits and vegetables, I feel so much different. When I drink less alcohol, let's be honest, I feel different. You know what I'm saying? And then, in the Black culture, I know people want to say pray about it. That goes without saying. I'm going to always pray. But I also thank God that He allowed people to become doctors and therapists and counselors and made medication, right? So I see my doctor on a regular. I go to my therapist, and I'm honest in those sessions. So I think when you get you one, be honest. And to be honest with you, you might have to fire some. Every therapist is not a good match. You have to figure out what works for you, what's best for you, and it's okay to let some of them go when they don't. So, and then I take time now. I take bubble baths so that I can relax. And what I will do in the morning, I try to get up a little bit early when I can sleep, because my sleeping pattern is so off. When I can get up early, I try to drink my entire cup of coffee. It's used most of the time it's coffee. Sometimes I kind of switch to tea lately, but I enjoy my cup of coffee. Sometimes we're in such a rat race that we're moving so fast. We're not really in the moment. So in the moment with my cup of coffee, I try to read my book, watch the sunset, enjoy my coffee, and then let my day begin. So I think those are great tips for people to take care of their mental and their well-being, to put themselves first, and in small pockets of those things throughout the day.
So, other words, just be in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just enjoy the roses.
As much as you possibly can, because my beautiful brain sometimes is doing all these things, telling me all these things at the same time. And most of the time, it's really interesting how it never tells me how great I am. These little voices, they never tell me how great I am and what I've given to the earth and how God still has a plan for me. It's usually negative. And so because I know that, I can kind of say, okay, let me take a breather. Let me get myself together. And I can tell myself that's not true. And that's not my reality. No, I shouldn't drive off this cliff, because I've heard that so many times. Nobody cares. It's not going to matter. But I have to stop and take a breath and say, that's not true. My life does matter. I do have a purpose. And then kind of gather myself. And I'm so grateful, to glory be to God, that I know that those voices are not real. Because there's a lot of people who have believed them and they're no longer here. So, and again, that takes time, getting to know myself, and then taking a moment to say, just breathe, Mika, and think about these things and what's reality and what's not.
I learned from Creflo Dollar that we can't think bad thoughts and speak good things at the same time. So when the enemy bring those bad thoughts to your mind, we got to use the power of words to fight those bad thoughts.
Yeah.
When they say affirmation, that's when you start speaking those affirmations. So you on the right track, because we all get all type of crazy thoughts. Mm-hmm. And even the word said the battle is in the mind. So we constantly battling these thoughts. And the better we get at battling these thoughts, the better we get at life. And that's what I practice on. Most people don't like confrontation. Most people don't like storms. I love storms. I love confrontations, because it makes me better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So and it's a part of life. We're not going to agree on everything. That don't mean we're going to get bent out of shape because we don't agree, but we're going to communicate. And I think a lot of us have grew up in households where it's my way or the highway. And so we don't have a habit of communicating what's wrong. And a lot of things are hidden, because we had to grow up hiding certain things. What goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem, that we still dealing with certain things in our houses, in our communities now that we was dealing with 20, 30, 50 years ago. People being molested, people being raped, people, you know what I'm saying? People being violated, and nobody want to talk about it. We got this same uncle that had violated 3 generations of family. But that's right. Uncle Pete, and ain't nobody going, you know what I'm saying?
Because nobody says anything. And they just say, oh, pray, or they sweep things under the rug. And so luckily for me, I was fortunate enough to have a mom who said, tell somebody. If that person doesn't do anything, then you tell somebody else. And my mom was one of the persons who said, like you said, what goes on in this house stays in this house until you got to that. Now, if someone is touching you inappropriately or and things of that nature, then no, you need to tell somebody. If you're physically or verbally being abused, you need to tell somebody and get out of that situation. But I completely agree with you. And one thing about this generation, I listen to my daughters and my nieces and my nephews, and when I tell you they are so much more vocal than we were, and I just salute them for that, because they will not tolerate a lot of things that
Yes.
we did. And so I love that they're so free and they're so vocal, and that they're saving themselves because of that. Yeah.
And once, when we spoke up, oh, we smart at the mouth and we fast and we this and this and that. But we can feel when something is wrong. We can feel when something is not right. And, that's part of the spirit that's in us. And you're supposed to speak up. And anybody, anything that don't want you to talk about what you see is wrong, that's a problem. I think secrets are sickness. The more secrets we are holding in, the more sickness we have. I believe a lot of this cancer people are dealing with is sickness, secrets that people are holding on to. You know what I'm saying? Because once you let things out, it's a relief. Like I said, I believe a lot of this stuff turns into sickness. What's your thoughts about that?
No, I agree with you. I think that, like you said, we hold on to trauma as for so long. And some things, I've heard people don't even remember things because they've kind of blocked those things out. They're not pleasant childhood memories.
Yeah.
And so I think the more we talk about it, the better, and it's interesting because that's what the other generations are doing. They're talking about, I'll use STIs for instance. They're talking about these things. They're talking about breast cancer. They're talking about mental health. They're talking about HIV and, heart disease at the dinner tables. And before, we didn't do that. We didn't talk about these things. It was like freaking taboo or something. But how can people heal, or how can people be comfortable if we don't say anything, or we don't make them comfortable enough to say, hey, Johnny, it's okay if you want to talk about something. There's no judgment, and I'll be quiet. And that's a lot of times people are so doggone busy giving their advice and their opinion, and nobody asked you.
Woo, child. The main people that got all this advice, their life is in a shithole. But they got so much advice for everybody else.
And then the thing about social media is it's like that people, they zone into the smallest little thing that they could critique. They're not doing nothing with their lives now, but they've got everything in your post. Oh, she spelled that word wrong. Oh, this, that, the other. And you really just have to ignore it. I have to tell myself all the time. And I get reminded, people send me text messages. There's more people, and I'm gonna talk to you, Dr. J. There's more people that read your posts, and you're making a positive impact in their lives. You're sharing and talking about things they wish they could, right? And so you just have to know that with you sharing and with your speaking, that you're changing lives, and they ain't gonna never say nothing. They're never gonna thank you, but God's given it to you to say something because you're helping other people. You just will never know. You got to know in your heart of hearts why, and keep on going.
And I just thank you for recognizing that, and what most people think is a weakness, meaning talking about, your struggles and talking about things, taking off the mask, basically. Most people think that's a weakness when really it's a strength. And that's what God wants to use.
It is. This one guy, we were in front of Next Level one day, and this guy, this guy went off on me. I had just got out of Brentwood. And for those who don't know, Brentwood is a behavioral health clinic that you go to. It's not a psych ward, but that's the word that people understand better, right? I was there for 7 days. I was so glad to be out of there, but I also was glad to be in there because I got the attention and the rest that I needed, right? To get myself together. When I got out, I was at Next Level, and he was like, that's why he was mad at me because some stuff that he didn't know what he was talking about. But he said, well, that's why you just got out of the psych ward and you
What?
got it, and you don't even have your green card. And I just looked at him and I was like, baby, you don't even know what a green card is. A green card is not something you get from the behavioral health. And I just fell out laughing. And I know he probably was like, oh yeah, she really is crazy. But people that don't know what they're talking about like to make up stuff, and they want to throw these words out to make you feel less than, even though a green card is not something that I'll ever need in life. But he really thought that he was, embarrassing me and doing these things on purpose. And so I just, people can be really cruel, and they could be really, they don't know what they're talking about, but they think they do.
And it really just shows their character. You know
Right.
what I'm
And I
saying?
just laugh because I'm like, what is she talking
That's
about?
the first thing when I tell you I thank my father. That's the first thing, the first scripture my father ever taught me. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know what I'm saying? So I'm aware of what I say out my mouth, what I say about who I said. You know what I'm saying? I'm very aware because words are powerful. And people can't wait to take your words and take it to give it to somebody else, and can't wait to say you said. And that's one thing about me. I don't care if you the president, the priest, the baby. If I say it once, I can say it again. What you gonna do? And that's most people can't stand on their truth. And so we just got to be able to stand on our truth and say, because I'm not out here talking about people. You know what I'm saying? I use my words to lift people up. And so words have power.
They really do. And it goes both ways. I started watching, I call him my play husband, like my actor husband. So every morning when I wake up, I go to YouTube and I listen to Denzel Washington's motivational moments. Every single moment. It has changed my life. And so words are powerful. And so I just do my very best to listen to the positive things that are going on. I listen to worship. I'm very selective with which type of worship or worship first I listen to.
Do you have some favorite pastors or people for people that's listening that need, somebody to listen to? Who are some of those people that you enjoy listening to?
So I listened to Pastor Jamal Bryant in Atlanta. So he's in Stonecrest at New Birth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that mixed up. I listen to him. I listen to Pastor Tate. She's a female on social media. There's this. I used to listen to Paula White, so I listen to her sometimes. The person that I really get a lot from is, I don't know if you know, well, you probably do, Dr. Felix Anderson with Wake Your Successful Self Up in Jackson, Mississippi. He's very powerful, and he stands on what he walks the talk. He doesn't just say stuff. So those are a few of the people that I listen to, and I really get things from them, because some people I've gone to churches and I just don't feel different. I'm just like, well, why did I even waste this last 2 hours? Because I got absolutely nothing. But since COVID, we all had to listen. We couldn't go to the buildings anymore. And I really got a lot from that. I started listening to different people, but I also already knew that it doesn't require the four walls. We need to get out in the streets, like the Muslims, how they be outside with their bean pies and their books. Hey, they out there reaching people. And I think that as believers, that's what we need to do more of, because the people in the church already know, they already reading their Bible.
I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say the people in the church are reading their Bibles. I think it's a lot of performing going on. People going through the motion. You know what I'm saying? They go to church to keep up appearances for social purposes, a lot of different reasons, but very few in church are connected to God, because if it were so, it would be reflected in our homes, in our communities, in our state. You know what I'm saying? Because we have power. When people say one person can't make a difference, prime time is a good example.
Yeah.
One person can make a difference.
Yeah. One person makes a difference every single day. We all individually make a difference, but collectively imagine what we could do.
Man, listen. And that's one of the articles that I wrote today about Dr. Claude Anderson, he talked about the powernomics and the power of Black people putting their money together. And, it's crazy that our dollar only lasts 6 hours in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? It circulate in every other community. The white community, I think 17 days. The Jewish community, 20 days. The Asian community, 17 days. You know what I'm saying? But in the Black community, the dollar circulate 6 hours. It's not even in the community 6 hours. And
No,
we have
not
to find a way to spend money with each other because if we don't, money is power in the United States of America. We live in two different worlds. We got the spiritual world and we got the real world. And money is powerful. And if you don't have no money as a collective, you're going to fall to the bottom. Because right now we're number 4 in minority. The Hispanics, Asians, they have made us number 4. We already didn't get nothing at number 2. So just imagine what we're going to get at number 4.
No, but I didn't realize that we were number 4 now. So thank you for that. And also, we just have to do better as a whole, like as a collective. We can't be so when I started Stilettos, it wasn't about being competitive. One of the great things about it, now I have seen women over the periods of years who didn't have a business when we started, have a business now, right? Who wasn't in leadership or high-level management, who are now. And so I didn't see so many brunches and women's networking events as I do now. And so I'm not saying that I started it, but I am saying I had something to do with it, because look at God, there's so many of them happening and I'm here for it. I think it is a wonderful thing, but I also just want us to, I'm trying to pick my words very carefully, because I think collaborations are so important, but you have to be very selective because the goal is with Stilettos is that for you to build and maintain professional business relationships that are mutually beneficial. It's not one-sided. It's not like Tameka gets everything and Dr. J gets nothing. So it's not that. And when we begin to do that, we can stretch to your point, we can stretch our dollars further. They'll last longer than 6 hours because now you and I are not in competition. And so now we're going to make a difference in our community and we get it, versus I don't want to spend my money with Tony because Tony blah, 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 blah. There should be none of that. And so we have to go where our money does last longer and it does make a difference, and it's also appreciated. Customer service is not that what it used to be. So no, I'm not going to go spend my money that's hard enough to earn, right, with companies that don't appreciate it. I won't do that. But I will say, and people laugh at me all the time, when I'm in Jackson, I spend my dollars in Jackson. When I'm in Mississippi, I spend my dollars in Jackson, period.
People don't understand the power of spending those Black dollars in Jackson, but they go right to Madison and right to, all these other places and spend their money. But if we be intentional, not just by spending money in Jackson, because that's how the taxes, and the money for the schools and things come from us spending money in Jackson. But I would like to see a collective of Black people come together and, put in, just say $100 a month. And over 5 years, this money is building and they're coming up with a plan on what they're going to invest this money in. Just think about the power that we can do if we had 100 people giving $100 over a period of time, what that could do and what we could build.
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful. And I also think that they may have done that before. I don't know for sure, but I'd like to say that at some point somebody has done that. Right. That's what I was going to say. And if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will. I think that you started. There was a student or something or lady that you were helping before and was asking, if people could make a donation. And I thought this was so wonderful. Imagine how many people we could help, even if it's just their hygiene stuff every single month. If it's blankets for the wintertime. I mean, I just think that we don't do enough of that. I know in Canton, when I was growing up, when we were in Farm Haven, I would see my grandmother and my aunties collecting all of these things for the neighbor, and we have just really gotten away from doing that. And
Yeah, I definitely think we need an emergency fund. We need something to start building when something happens. It's nothing in place. We got to run around like, you know what I'm saying? Because nothing is in place. Imagine what happened in California if it happened here in Jackson.
I don't want to. I don't want to imagine, because California has plenty of resources. They have a whole lot of money. In Jackson, I was in tears the last week when I was driving around looking at the demolished buildings, looking at the empty spots.
We can go buy up those houses. You know what I'm saying? All those people that complain about prime time talking about, and whoever else that was talking about, the area behind Jackson State and them showing it, but ain't nobody did shit. They made all that noise, but they ain't doing nothing to change it.
No, they like to complain.
That's it. Complain. Faith without action, it's dead.
It is.
And that's what we get a lot of talking. I'm not about talking, I'm about action.
So, and that's the thing. Exactly. So that's the thing. When you put something together and you show them and you want people to help you be a part of it, then that's where our focus is. And if I have $2, then hey, I'm gonna give you this $2 for your pot, and I know you're gonna do something with it. Because I said this year that I was gonna tithe again because I got away from it. And tithing to me is not in a church. It's outside where people really need it. So I don't have to. I know that, and I asked my cousin Rashida about this. Do I have to give to a church? Because I thought I did, and she was like, "No, Mika. If you are tithing that same amount and you give it to where you feel it's needed, God will reward you for that. It doesn't have to go to a church." And once she said that, I was like, "Okay, it's on and popping." So I'm not doing that, because I know that other people could use it right now for something besides a church building that I don't never see. The church fund, I'll never see the building though. But y'all been collecting money for years.
And listen, so something has to change. We have to, stop just talking and be about it. We have to take off these masks. I think a lot of people around here just faking it and getting by. And again, the next generation is going to suffer because we didn't talk about the real issues. We just put a mask on it.
But we're doing that. So we've been putting on a mask forever. I learned a lot in Jackson. Oh, did I learn some valuable lessons? But I also met some incredible people, like the women that I do have connections with. And we don't talk every day. I'm not that kind of friend. If you need somebody to talk to every day, don't be my friend. But there are some people that show up for me, and I show up for them when we do. You know what I mean? And so those are the people that I want to continue to grow with, that I still want to support, and I want to make a difference with. And it doesn't. What's interesting is that it don't take a lot. It doesn't really take a lot. I know Dr. Sandra Melvin or Melton, I always get her last name mixed up, but she started a nonprofit. You have a nonprofit. My family.
I remember when she was at Tougaloo, when you know what I'm saying. Right. So that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take everything that you learn at these jobs and go and create your own stuff.
Right. And then get with people that you can trust, and let's make a difference. And who show up. That was the beauty with Stilettos. When I told you I had 17 people there and I was walking on the moon, because it didn't matter, and it still doesn't, how many people show up. You work with the people that are there and make a difference and make a change and move forward. And then when you do that, you've done what God asked you to do. And that's all you could do. So what we gonna do next? How we gonna do some great, wonderful things inside of our state and beyond?
And that's what that's what I want to do. I want to actually put a lot of these things into place, and we got to use this technology. We can get on the Zoom and, have an agenda and say, okay, and vote on different ideas. And, what I'm saying, just have a think tank to get to that point and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Because with things like Project 2025, we got to have a plan. And right now, all we're doing is just talking and complaining, this and this and that. Everybody making money off us. You know what I'm saying? And we the prize.
Yeah,
we the way keep this economy going. Black women spend more money on everything more than any other demographics. We the most consumers of television. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much. And that's the other thing, me with my producing skills, I really want to do a television show, so just getting people with like minds. And, when we get in these think tanks, you're going to have people who come together in these little pockets because they got the same ideas, so
and then you move with them. Like I'm so excited about even just talking about this because you just move with them people that show up, and the rest of them, when y'all ready, come on. And if you're not ready, we going down the road. And then other people, what we're offering, somebody's going to feel better. They're going to feel better because of it. They're going to decide, hey, I'm going to go get a doctor because Dr. J and Tameka talked about having a therapist. They're going to start saving their money, working on their credit, thinking about buying a property, whatever it is, thinking about starting their own business while they're working at this 9 to 5, whatever it is. And so we just focus on those things, and we focus on the people that show up. And that's all we could do. We can't worry about everybody else. We could say, hey, the door's open when you want to come. But until then, we gone. We got to do what God is asking us to do with the people that want to do it.
So on this day, January the 14th, we're going to say that we're going to do something. So by this time next year, something is going to be, in the midst. And we're going to hold ourselves accountable and say, hey, we got to pull ourselves together and say, hey, we got to create something. What we're going to show the next generation that we did to combat everything that's going on now.
Right. And that is why I said we're having this for Stilettos the end of March on purpose, because we're going to talk about, yes, it's Women's History Month, but what are we doing also to make history? The month of March is over. Well, what are we doing to make history for those that are here now and that are coming behind us, whether it's our nieces, nephews, grandchildren, whomever. And that's where I want to go. I want to go with those that are running the race, not standing here waiting for them, because you can't wait. You'll miss your opportunity. You will miss our blessings waiting for Sally, who Sally is not ready. She has proven she's not going to bust a move. So, all right, Sally, we gone.
So in 2025, we got to leave some people and some things behind.
And so, don't feel bad about it. And I'm talking to myself. And then when people, so this is what I was telling my mom. Yeah, I was telling my mom earlier. Some people have left me behind, and I grew to be okay with it, because if I'm in your life and I'm not increasing it in some kind of way, making it better, helping you grow, you don't need to be hanging out with me, no way. So this year, when I'm moving forward, if you're not helping me, and I don't mean just sharing my post, hello, I mean a little bit more than that, there's no need for us to be connected. And if I'm not doing that for you, you could cut ties with me and go on about your life, because God has too many things for us to do, and to be waiting on somebody else. Are they going to do it? Are they going to show up? Baby, it's time to hit it. 2025, we wide open. Again, we're talking about in March, pouring into our own cups, because we pour so much into other people's, we forget about ourselves. And we can't, because nobody else gonna think about us. The people that love us, they might, show up, tap you on the shoulder. Hey, you all right over there? But at the end of the day, I promise you, it's me and the Lord, and I'm going to get everything He got for me.
And that's all we have to focus on. I learned it real early. Stop worrying about who show up, who didn't show up, who supported. That's none of our business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is not on the same journey, and that's okay. We don't get to decide when that light bulb goes off of them. And I had a friend that had to teach me that, as well. So, I just love conversations like this. I can go on and on, having this conversation, but I do want to give you the final words, to leave with the audience and give them a call to action. You got the floor.
Okay. All right, a call to action. I think you need to write it out. I think that people do vision boards, and I think that those are important. Your affirmations are important. What you tell yourself, and start talking to yourself, believing that those things are going to happen. And then make an action plan. Get somebody to hold you accountable. If it's a mentor, or somebody besides yourself, because you need somebody. We all need somebody to help push us a little bit. And get to work. Like my dad says, go out there and do your thing. God gives us all assignments, but if we don't get moving, I do believe he gives that assignment to somebody else. So whatever it is you believe that is your calling, go get it. I am rooting for you. Make it happen. That is all I got.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Tameka, for having this conversation. I appreciate you. I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I'm going to be there in March for the 2-day event. And so thank you. And thank you for Stilettos on the Pavement. It's what we all needed.
You are welcome. And thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great year.
No problem. And we welcome you back anytime.
Thank you. Bye.
No problem. You guys, that was a great conversation. We are back with life class, you guys, and life been lifing, and those that follow me know I've been going through a lot, but hey, I'm strong and I'm up for the challenge, babe. I told you I love a storm because Jesus always calmed the storm. And babe, I'm here to tell about the storm. And so, of course, I have to pop and send the love out to all my sorors of Delta, Sigma, Theta, sorority, baby. It was Founders Day. And honey, we represent it as we always do. And so I want to thank you all for tuning in to Life Class. On next week, we have Dr. Malone that will be in the house right after Dr. King holiday, right after the swearing in of a new president. And so we have a lot to talk about. And so we welcome Dr. Malone. And so you guys, we will see you all next week. Make sure you all tune in to the Otha Kane Show. See you all next time.